Open up our eyes. Teach us how to live.
Page 677.
Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Page 677. If you have it on that page 677, I hope you'll join in with me as we sing this one more time, called Open Up Our Eyes. Open up our eyes. Teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. And we will know that you are one. And we will know that you are one. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's finally starting to cool off. And a little bit too windy for some of the papers here, but it feels good. And I'm very glad the weather's good, and it's nice to see everybody here on Shabbat, especially in view of the things that have happened this past week. It's really wonderful to be together, and we will be saying some prayers and thinking about those things soon. Okay, it's closer. Let's do one more song together. This is a very familiar song. I think the words might be on page 648 or something like that, but it's Hine Matov, and I'm sure most of you know it. Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. One more time through the middle part. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm going to start with a special reading for collective grief. This world, impossible, unthinkable, we are brought to our knees. God, today there is no true north, and when I last checked, the sun did not rise at all. Today the innocent still suffer, teachers still risk their lives, families still grieve. A world has ended without any reasonable fanfare, and we are sold the fantasy that nothing can be done. Help us to know what to feel, rage, grief, sorrow, and what to do. Advocate, protest, lament. Blessed are we who let reality in, though our bodies shudder. Blessed are we who ask and wait and ask again for the courage to change our culture, whose laws and complicity subsidize death. God, give us the hope that seems hard to find. Amen. Now we're going to continue our service with the lighting of the Shabbat candles, which you may find on pages 120 and 121. I'd like to invite Olivia, Luke, and Danielle Rakowski to come on up and light the candles for us this evening in honor of Luke's bar mitzvah tomorrow. All right, so this is going to be a little technically difficult. So first, light the two candles. Okay, why don't you bring them up here so that people out there can see them. And Luke.
In English.
Somebody gonna read this? Or Olivia, you gonna read something?
Olivia, come here. Read the English.
Right here.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Okay. Just get up on your toes.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen, 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 amen.
And now we're going to continue with as we welcome the Shabbat bride. Now that we've lit the lights of Shabbat, which you may find on page 138, we continue with Lachad Odi. Get your shakers ready.
Shakers. Lechad Odi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, יענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoriri, Hitoriri, Kiva Orech, Kuhumi, Ori, Uri, Uri, Shir Daberi, Kavod Adonai, Alayich, Nigla, Lecha Dodi, Lekrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Last verse. Boi b'shalom Ateret ba'ala Gam b'simcha Utzahola Toch emunei Am segula Boi chala Lecha dodi Lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha dodi Lekrat kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela B'nei Shabbat Nekabela.
Now that we've lit the lights of Shabbat and welcomed the Shabbat bride, we're going to continue with the next section of our service called the Baruch Hu, part of our call to worship on page 146. Please rise in body or spirit. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Va'ed.
Page 148.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bibaro ma'ariv aravim v'chachma posei hasharim uvitbuna mishanai itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim v'mishrotehem barakia kirtzono b'rei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshach v'choshach mipnei or uma'ariv yom umv'lei layla vadil bein yom uvein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'chayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv arvim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and rearranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv arvim.
Page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152 and 153. We continue with the Shema, the watchword of our Jewish faith. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. Please join me on page 154 in the chanting of the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, beshivtecha bevetecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uvshachbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vihayu letotafot ben enecha, uktavtaham al mezuzot betecha, uvisharecha. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem Emeth. Now we're going to continue on page 158 with the singing of Micha Mucha, the song that the Israelites sang when they crossed the Red Sea to freedom from Pharaoh's grip.
shakers. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh pele, Nora tehilot oseh pele, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'o banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze Eli anu ve'amaru, Ze Eli anu ve'amaru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
We now continue on page 160 with the Hashkivenu prayer. And the Hashkivenu prayer asks God to create a shelter of peace over us, and we're all in desperate need of God's providing that for us right at this moment in our own hearts, in our whole country. And so when we sing this prayer, we think about how much we are in need of this feeling of peace and tranquility and security in our own lives and in the lives of everyone in our country.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeteinu uvoinu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Together at the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Continue with Vishamru, page 162. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, ohot hi le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat Lidorotam Berit Olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash, shahavat vayinafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat lidorotam berit olam.
And that concludes the second section of our service. And now we continue with the tefillah. The next section, which tefillah is the word which means prayer, and it's the time during the service when we speak directly to God, asking God to, reminding us that God is the God of our ancestors, the God who brings us strength, and the God who hopefully will bring us peace. Page 164, please rise in body or spirit.
Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha.
Page 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasidim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Haste Avot v'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'man Shemo b'Hahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Should I do this too?
Page 168.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav L'Ushia Mechochel Chaim Behesed Mechayei Hakol Barachamim Ravim Somech Noflim Barofei Horim Umatir Asirim Mchayei Emunatov Lishinei Afar Mihamocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Mimin, Umahaye, Umatzmiak Yeshua, Vane'eman Atal HaHayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol.
Page 170.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated.
And we now continue with Shalom Rav, a song for peace, on page 178.
By the way, that was a great job, Luke. And I hope I still have a job after this. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Page 179, we read together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamvarich et Amo Yisrael Bashalom. Now we continue with the Mishaberach prayer on page 371. Another special reading. A church, the supermarket, her backyard, an elementary school, a traffic stop, a car wash, your big box store on a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, early in the hours of Sunday morning. Like white noise, headlines that jar you for a moment, give you pause, and then accelerate the fuzzy numbness, the normal, not normal American way of life, where there will never be enough violence to act, and legislators will, with fat wallets, sit in their hands and do nothing. Over and over and over again, with no plan or place to act, indifferent to the people that bury their kids, their moms, their brothers and sisters, teachers and students, over a misplaced shed or a bad day built up that explodes through a barrel. It will never be enough. Our truth is that we accepted this way of life years ago, whether we wanted to or not. And now all of us are in need of healing. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all of us who are in need of healing. So look around the room and may say the names aloud of those in particular you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds.
Frederick Boyle.
We think of all of those in Texas who are in need of healing tonight, all of those who are in the hospital, and all the relatives, friends, members of the community which suffered such a horrific loss. We think of all of those in Buffalo who are still very much healing and hurting from the horrific events of 2 weeks ago. We think of all of those who have been related in some way to all of the mass murders that have occurred this year outside of schools and within schools. We think of those who are in need of healing, who are suffering from COVID right now and other illnesses. We think of all of those in Ukraine who are suffering from the ravages of war. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for all of their health and our health to be restored and all of our strength to be revived. May God swiftly send to all of us a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
At this point, I'd like to sing a different version of the song we usually sing at this time, the setting of the Shabbat prayer. This one is a little bit longer and has some extra words. We'd like to do it in commemoration of the sad events of the past week. This is a version by a woman named Lisa Levine. Mi sheberach avoteinu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the ones who blessed our mothers, may the ones who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avoteinu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach imoteinu Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avoteinu, mi sheberach imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
And And on Shabbat, we're commanded not just to think about those who we need to give support to, and we think about those who are in need of healing. We also are commanded to think about our blessings, even in the most difficult of times, and to thank God for everything that God has given us, and to be grateful. And that's the essence of Shabbat, is to show our gratitude to God for all of the blessings that God has given us. So I'm going to give us all the opportunity now to maybe say something that we're grateful for, or something that has happened to us recently or about to happen to us that we want to feel that we want to share with our community. So I'll start. So my son Aaron graduated from law school last Friday. Thank you. He is not here with us this evening, but he's here with us in spirit. So I'm really happy that he and our family and our community has achieved that milestone. And now I'd like to look around the room and try to speak really loudly so the people out there can maybe hear. I'm also grateful that Luke is becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow.
Yay.
Mazel tov, Luke. I am grateful that Lily is graduating from high school and is going to receive the Gettman Award this evening. So mazel tov to Lily. And thank you to Lily and Luke for helping to conduct the service so beautifully this evening. Now I'll open it up to everybody else. Dan.
So on Monday, our daughter Pamela passed her PhD oral exam.
All right, so Pamela passed her PhD oral exams. Mazel tov to Pamela. Excellent. Who else?
Wesley's graduation is a week from tonight, and he will be going to UCSD.
Wensley's graduation is a week from tonight, and he's going to be going to UCSD. Excellent. And you?
My son Sam had his last day of school yesterday, and will be graduating a week from tonight, actually. And he will be going probably to UMass Amherst. And he is very glad to be out of high school.
He should be here saying the Shachianu. Val.
Very good friend of mine. She's fifth grade. Has been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and she just got out a few days ago. It's so much better.
So Val's very close friend just got out of the hospital a few days ago. That's wonderful. All right, anything else? Danielle.
I'm grateful that our family is coming in for Luke's bar mitzvah, and they've been together in a couple of years because of COVID. So it's been a great event.
Excellent. So Danielle is very grateful that her family can finally be here together to celebrate Luke's bar mitzvah, and they haven't seen each other for a couple of years. Awesome. So for all of those reasons, we're going to continue. Oh, sorry, Phyllis.
I'm very grateful that my 14-year-old granddaughter in California was just told she's graduating her class as number one of the entire school population.
Wow, she clearly gets that from me. So Phyllis's 14-year-old granddaughter is just graduating from the 8th grade, and she's number one in her entire class. Very, very wonderful. Oh, the whole school. Number one in the school. Out of 500 and some odd students. Awesome. That's wonderful. All right. So with all of that in mind, we're going to continue with the Shachianu prayer.
What's that saying, Phyllis? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
From the rabbi tree.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We pause for a moment of silent prayer. Now we're going to continue with another song for peace. We can't have too many of those tonight. We'll continue with Oseh Shalom on page 180, and everybody should silence their phones or turn us off or turn them off. Go ahead.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimru Bimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimru Bimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimru Bimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Bimru Bimru Amen.
And now, this week's Torah portion is called the Chukotai, which Luke is going to teach us about tomorrow morning, but it begins with the words, you should observe all of these commandments, and if you observe all these commandments, then God will fill you with blessings and a wonderful life and praise and everything, but should you choose not to follow the commandments, there's a huge long list of curses which will come your way. And so it's traditional that you read those very long list of curses very, very quickly because there are so many, you want to get through all of them. So, how is this related to Lily? It's related to Lily because she has been a blessing to her Jewish faith and her community, and she's been such a wonderful, wonderful part of our community her entire life, going through religious school and confirmation class and serving as a madricha in our religious school and helping us in innumerable ways in our congregation, helping with Purim spiels and Purim carnivals and doing face painting and being part of our youth group and every single way that she could have participated in our congregation, she has. And so she's hopefully going to be, she's well in the blessings camp and hopefully this will give her a long, healthy life and the feeling of just knowing that her Jewish identity is part of her and will enrich her life for many, many years to come. And so it's wonderful that we are able to present her with the Gettman Award this evening for anybody who's gone through our religious school confirmation class and been involved in the congregation during their junior and senior years of high school. It's a memory of Carol Gettman, who was a wonderful, wonderful member of our congregation who died way too young. She was a president of our sisterhood as well as a pre-Hebrew teacher for many years. So I would like to invite Lily to come on up and read us the essay that she has written for her Gettman Scholarship Award.
In class, we heard the jingle of bells and the caroling of voices and saw snow fall through the fogged windows. This day in first grade, my teacher had us all lined up to take a photo for us for the holidays. We listened to Christmas music as she put out props, and the kids in front of me chose the Santa hat, so I did too. I didn't think anything of the silly-looking hat until I stood in front of the camera with a huge grin on my face, missing my bottom front teeth looking at my teacher's puzzled expression behind the camera. She said, "Lily, are you sure you want to wear that hat?" Thinking nothing of it, I excitedly said yes. She took the photo, and looking back at that photo almost 8 years later, I finally realized why she had that puzzled look on her face. She looked past my giddy little face and only saw a Jewish kid wearing a Santa hat. During the holiday season, I was used to teachers awkwardly half smiling at me while they handed out Christmas worksheets and candy canes. This is who I was seen as, whether I wanted to be known as the Jewish kid or not. My teacher behind the camera saw me as such. I can only imagine she was thinking about my mother's reaction when I brought this photo home, instead of how incredibly happy she had just made this child in front of her for doing what the other 20 students in her class got the chance to do. She chose to overlook me and my happiness for what she perceived me as. I knew I was Jewish, I knew I'd never worn a Santa hat, and I even knew my mom would probably question me when I brought the picture home, but I didn't care. I wanted to be just like everyone else and feel silly in a goofy hat. Reflecting back on this memory years later, I realized my teacher was only one of many people who made me feel like they didn't approve of who I was. I have learned that Mrs. Maroney, my first grade teacher, meant no harm by asking me if I was sure I wanted to wear the hat. Looking back on my teacher's face and thinking about her expression continues to remind me that I must unapologetically be my Jewish self. This was 1 year of many that I dealt with feeling overlooked by teachers, peers, and administration and was left out. I often had to choose to smile through a play of The Christmas Carol or do Christmas coloring sheets to be included with the other students. This often left me feeling bitter as I grew older. But as I grew older, I began changing my attitude. As a proud Jewish person, I chose to educate my peers. In younger grades, my mom would come in, and she would come into class for a day and teach everyone about Hanukkah. As I grew older, I would share my culture with my friends. Doing what was relevant to my culture made me feel seen and included. Being me is what has assisted me in becoming the person I am today. I am unapologetically a proud Jew who stands up for my culture. I continue to learn every day about my culture. I continue to educate myself and others on prevalent issues within the Jewish community, as well as continuing my general education of the rich culture of Judaism. Whether this is my religion, what hat I wear, or how I speak, I have learned to be myself and not conform to the pressure of others around me. Being me is what has helped me get to where I am today, and choosing to wear a Santa hat in first grade proved that I can be myself whether others approve of me or not.
Awesome, excellent. Lily, that was really wonderful, and you touched on all the important themes of what it means to grow up as a Jew in a largely non-Jewish world, and your self-knowledge of what that entails of being particularly around a Jew during Christmas time. The month of December is so difficult, and standing up for yourself and being unashamedly and unabashedly Jewish is something that you are going to be a leader with all of your peers. And when you go to UVM next year, I'm sure that you'll be a leader among the Jewish community and help all of them also in this a never-ending quest to be yourself and to help others to respect you as you would respect them, for everybody being able to be who they are and present their own religious faith with a lot of pride and security. So mazel tov to you and your family who are here and those who are not here with you this evening. And the check is in the mail. So we're now going to continue with the Elena on page 586. Please rise if you are able.
Aleinu lishabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. You may be seated. Please join me on the next page. Shehu Noteh Shamayim. Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'yoser haaretz ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל והארץ מתחת אין עוד. Now please turn to page 591. Join me in a contemporary version of Bayom Hahu. ונאמר והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד.
We now continue with the Cottage Prayer. But first, a special reading. We are so tired in our hearts. There is too much to mourn. The anger that festers poisons everything. Then it kills, and then it kills the killers. Sometimes it takes too much energy to remember that we know how to flourish. There is holy wholeness, there is true connection, but we are so tired. May we rest so that we may rise, awake and ready. Amen. Page 599. We now think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We recall Alan Smilowitz and Barbara Goldberg, who died during this past month. Remember all of those who were killed in Uvalde, Texas. Remember all of those who were killed in Buffalo, New York. Remember all of those who were killed in Ukraine, all of them for no reason at all. We also think of all of those who died of the COVID disease. At this time, if there are names of others, first of all, we're going to read the yard sites of those whose yard sites occur this week. Carol Gettman, Raymond Smith, Jack Spivak, Anik Trop, Howard Wright. And now at this time, if there are names of others you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we prepare to recite the Cottage Prayer. You may say their names aloud as I look around the room.
Myron Simon.
Myra Deutsch, Dora Deutsch.
B. Cohen.
Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be for a blessing. We turn to page 598 and rise to recite the Cottage Prayer. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabba v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach l'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushpechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to our country, to Ukraine, to all Israel and all the world, as we say together. Amen. Please be seated. So Mazel Tov to Luke and your whole family for being here this evening, and we're looking forward to hearing you do just as beautifully tomorrow morning as you did this evening. You were completely awesome. I'm really, really proud of you. And Mazel Tov to Lily and the Rubin family on your graduation and the great job you did this evening. And we're very, very proud of you also. And thank you all for being here on this special evening. And we didn't blow away. That's good. And any other announcements? What's happening next week? I don't remember. Next week is Shavuot, which is usually confirmation class. We don't have any confirmands this year, but we'll be having a special Shavuot celebration. And then the following week is our installation of board members. I see many of you here this evening, some new people who will be installed, and we'll be thanking all of those who have completed their term on the board. And then the following week, our final service of the season is going to be our Bernard Nelson Award service, and we are going to be honoring Shelley Lippman, who is this year's Bernard Nelson Award recipient. And we're going to try to have a band service that night too. All right. So, and following the service, we've got s'mores that we're all going to make. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we're now going to continue with the Kiddush on pages 122 and 123. And Lily, why don't you come on up and lead us in the Kiddush? And Carissa, why don't you lead us in the Kiddush also, because you've been sitting there too quietly this whole time. Please rise. We've only got one Kiddush cup, so you're going to have to fight over it. Over here, please. We need everybody out there to see you. Just down there.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Go. You go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh Reshit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen.
L'chaim. Great job. Thank you. All right, Luke, you're going to come up and lead us in the motzi, your final time up here as a child. Stand over here. Stand right here.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Great job. Thanks. You can go back to your seat. And thank you to Ellen Finkelman for making the challah once again this week. Kudos. Please be seated, and we're going to have a special closing song this evening on a more somber note, another version of Oseh Shalom.
And you'll find the words Oseh Shalom at least on page 180, as well as other places in the prayer book. This is a more lyrical version of the song, written by Cantor Jeff Klepper, I believe. It goes like this. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. V'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It's really dark.